Now, one issue you may have noticed so far is that everything, all of our divs and paragraphs are appearing vertically beneath each other. Now, quite often we might not want that. We might want to have a box here and then a second box to the right of that. And we might want to call both of those divs. Now, there's a really nice, easy way to do that, and that's what I'm going to show you now. So with divs, so we've got our two divs, purple box and green box. What we're going to do is something called floating. So you can float divs and indeed paragraphs and other elements if you want to the left or to the right. Let's see what effect that has. So we use the float instruction and we're going to float purple box to the left. See what that does. Okay, so now this has messed everything up a little bit, but you get the idea. So now this purple box is on the left of all the other content. So all the other content is to the right, and that single purple box is floated to the left. Okay, so what happens if we float something to the right? Let's take green box and float it right. Okay. So we've got the purple box floated to the left and the green box floated to the right. If I sort of stretch that out, you can maybe see clearer what's going on. So it's a bit like a newspaper column. Think of it like that. So anything floated to the left is going to be aligned left. Anything floated to the right is going to be aligned right. Anything which is not floated at all is just going to flow in between those two. So this paragraph tag at the very bottom there, this paragraph tag here, isn't floated at all. So that's just going to go in the middle of those two tags there. Now let's just see what happens if we float the paragraph tag to the left. So we've only got one, oh no, we've got several paragraph tags, so let's give it a class. We'll give it a class of float left, and then we'll float that to the left as well. So float left. Okay, so that's now being floated too. So it just aligns to the left with the purple box there. And you can see that if I bring that in, it then sits underneath it quite nicely. Okay, so that's floating. Everything you float to the left will follow one thing after another, gradually going from left to right. Anything you float to the right is going to align itself to the right, and then if you float several things, then they're going to gradually go back to the left. Now, one final thing to say about floating is quite often you want your non-floated text to appear beneath all of the floated text. So maybe you want something to the left, something to the right, and we want this paragraph to go beneath the whole lot. How do we do that? Well, we use a special type of div called a clearing div. So we'll create a div, we'll give it a class of clear, and this is just going to be an empty div that just sits there with its only purpose is to break those floats, as it's known, and stop floating completely and start the flow again. So how do we do that in CSS? Well, we refer to our class with a dot clear, and we use the instruction clear both. Let's see what that does. Great. So we've now got our div which is aligned to the left or floated to the left, and another div which is floated to the right, and our paragraph is then underneath both of those divs. Now you can use clear left and clear right as well as instructions, but generally the most common thing to do is to clear both, because you want to clear both the left and the right floats.